the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
You know, recently I went back and I watched Dante's Peak again.
That's the Pierce Brosnan one, right?
Pierce Brosnan versus the Volcano movie.
Yeah. When you say that, I just got the image, just like Pierce Brosnan going to the side of a volcano and just punching it.
You're just like, stop!
I'd watch that for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that movie's fucking awesome.
Hour and 45 minutes might be pushing it, but hour and a half, yeah.
That movie is an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe not the punching part, but...
I just mean literally a movie of him...
The literal movie isn't like an hour and 45 or 50 minutes.
Just literally a movie of him punching a volcano for that long. That's, you know... But yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I remember the part with the grandma kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, that was part... I remember one time we were kids... And we were like in my hot tub or something, and we got it like way too cranked up where it was like 130 degrees. I remember jumping in there and I was like, oh god, I feel like the grandma on Dante's I was like walking back towards the end, like, it fucking burns!
That was just that movie, I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember, I was like, how'd this walk away with PG-13? Thinking that when I saw the movie, because he had like, there's part of the bone shoots out of his elbow.
Yeah,
you saw that.
Like he has to go back and get.
Then there's like the
computer thing.
The young couple, which is all skinny dipping. All of a sudden, they boil alive. Yeah. Then there's the like we said, the grandma.
Yeah, there's a handful of violent parts. I guess they're not like
overtly violent.
Yeah, they're not super violent. I guess when you're a kid, you're like,
PG-13.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I remember that kid. When I was a kid, that movie was really big.
I guess it would be kind of like
big to like me.
When people first saw I almost said Poltergeist. When people first saw Poltergeist, and they had the part where the guy's ripping his face off, like, this is PG.
It's probably one of PG.
That movie's PG.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought that movie was rated R.
No, PG.
But no, Dante's Peak though, like, it's a fucking amazing movie. Going back and watching again, and I think what makes it really cool too is like, it's got just amazing special effects. Because it does have CG in it that they mix in, but like a lot of it's just like models. Mm-hmm. And it's like almost one of the last model movies you can think of. I used to always go like, Total Recall is pretty much like the last model movie in a sense, but this movie's 1997 or 98. Not to
bring up Batman for the sake of bringing up Batman, but Batman Begins actually used models in that
one did too.
When they're in the Narrows and all that.
But it's just something about like the models. That just looks so much more realistic though than CG.
I think Lord of the Rings actually they combine models and CG.
Did they have some models?
Whenever you saw like a castle being knocked down or like scaling over the top of a castle, usually a model or something like that. Or a lot of times you see like the mountains of people running at each other, like crowds, these CG little people running on top of like plastic hills or whatever.
That could make sense. Because I remember when I went and watched that movie not too long ago when we were talking on the podcast last, watching them all, it's kind of go like, to me it's almost like some of the parts where it's like, man, it's just like, the whole background's all CG, and like the characters like are CG, like unless it's like a close up, it kind of has like a Star Wars thing sometimes too, where like unless it's a close up, everything's CG.
Well, sometimes like weird how some of the biggest movies are actually really small in scale.
The cheapest movies.
Yeah, because I was actually, because Avengers. You've seen that movie. Really, if you take that movie at like just plain sight, that movie's fucking huge. It's epic. But really, when it gets right,
features?
if you look at I don't own it on Blu-ray or DVD or anything, but I've seen kind of like behind the scenes stuff online and all that, and just seeing like they did all this shit. And I know there's a few parts they probably had to go out into an actual street. The majority of it, they're like in front of a green screen, like, oh, there's a damaged car by them, or kind of like a busted like side of a highway that's probably foam or whatever. But really, that movie, it's like this movie had to be like the cheapest movie ever. Like all the monsters are fighting are mostly all CG too. CG. So yeah.
You know what's really like the cheapest looking movie though, like out of the modern movies, I guess you could say that's a big movie, but just like when you see the special features so cheap though, it's $300.
I knew you were gonna say that, yeah.
Because like I remember when you watched those special features on that movie, I was just like. It looks like one of those ones, that the producer's sitting there looking at this like, oh, what the fuck did I buy into? There was guys running around in plastic swords, and there's a ginormous green bed sheet behind them.
The first glance.
What the fuck did we buy into?
All those bodybuilders, they look at you like, whatever, I need the fucking money. When they actually saw the movie, like, oh, wow. This is actually pretty badass.
Well, yeah, you see the movie, just like once you kind of like have all the computer over it and the effects and the filters and all that stuff, when you're just looking at like a video camera shot of guys and like these, it just looks so cheap. It's not like when you watch Gladiator behind the special features, it kind of looks like the same thing still.
Yeah.
This one you're just like, it looks like they went down to like Kmart during Halloween and just bought a bunch of like Roman Empire like costume kits.
I'll be honest, the new 300 to me doesn't look that good. It looks kind of
It just looks like, how can we make more money off 300?
Well, it looks like that, and on top of it, it even looks kind of like maybe it's just me, and maybe that look is dated now, but for whatever reason, all the stuff in it looks kind of cheap. Like, I mean, I know the first one's kind of like you said, it was made cheap, and it looks kind of very over the top in the movie, but it just looks way more cheaper and way more over the top. You know what I mean? Don't ask me.
Well, I think to me, I think the 300 song you can only do once. I just don't. I feel like it's really hard to pull that off a second time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's cool for one round, and who knows, the movie might be decent. I
It
can't
might be
imagine it be
decent.
amazing, but I bet you it might be like decent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just one of those ones, like, I don't know, it's just like, it feels like it's a one-shotter type thing. It's either this is going to work, and if it works, it's going to work once, and then not, I don't know. But that goes back to Dante's Peak, though. Those special effects, though, they're so fucking good looking in that movie.
This ain't so much a special effects movie, but for the first time in a while, I went back and watched Lethal Weapon 1.
I love Lethal Weapon 1's one of my favorite, I'd probably say top 10 favorite movies of all time.
That
Maybe
movie's
even top
amazing.
5 favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much.
I kind of realized something. Danny Glover, he has this, he talks like, that guy's voice is magic. People talk about Morgan Freeman's voice is magic. I think Danny Glover's voice
Danny Glover. He's one of my favorite actors.
He really talks like, what's amazing about his voice though, he talks about like, he's about to kick your ass, but he's slightly turned on at the exact same time. You know?
I know what you mean, because he kind of, I don't even know if I could
Hey Riggs, how's it going, man? You know? I don't like that, man. You know, he's just kind of like, he just has that voice to him. He sounds like he's either about to fuck someone, or he's to fuck someone up, one or the other.
Or he's about to retire.
Yeah, but he never does. He
never does retire.
Well, there's also that, like, I'll say this, there's that one scene in the movie, it's just so awkward, I don't know why, but there's the one guy who's almost trying to play, like, a badass cop, just saying the most awkward, I was like, you know, men can cry sometimes. It's like, yeah, I ain't no 80s man. 80s men like to cry and talk about their feelings and shit, you know? He's all like, I cried last night, actually, in bed. Are you with me, Win? No, why do you think I was crying? As if it was like, that was like his cop show. It's like, no, he says as he walks out the door.
No, but that movie, though, like, to me, is just, like, that to me is like one of those, like, childhood movies that's just, like, I've watched throughout the years. And I actually haven't watched it. It's been a couple of years, probably, since I've sat through and watched. There are kind of movies, like, if I sit down and watch the first one, I'm just going to watch the other 3 after it.
I've never seen number 3, but I've seen 2 and 4.
Number 3 is probably my least favorite.
That's what everyone
say
says.
1, 2, 4, 3.
Yeah.
You know, the only downfall of 4 is there's no mullet for Mel Gibson. I don't know what it is. That sounds like a weird complaint, but it just feels like, well, you can't just grow that. I mean, I don't care if you're like...
Mel Gibson just has, like, he's just driving a pickup truck out and, like, into the woods. He then, like, you know, opens, like, the tailgate, like, his mullet pops out, crawls out. He pulls a gun at it, just looks at him.
Blows it away.
It's just like... Brr, brr. He's like, run, go! He gets in the car and drives off. The mullet just left out there in the woods by itself.
Go home!
Yeah.
Please! You can't be with me anymore! I know we had some good times together, but...
He couldn't...
Just fucking take it off, man! Just go!
Mullet keeps on chasing. He points the gun at it like he wants
Don't
to,
make
but
me
he
do
can't
this.
bring...
Don't make me do this.
He gets back in the car and just leaves it there. Starts pouring rain.
Yes, that's right.
He's left out there with, like, Josh Brolin's mustache.
They have to live together now and try to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, Lethal Weapon 4, though, that is a fucking good movie, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those ones, because sometimes you think about it, you're like, oh, it's the 4th one, you know, how good can it be? It's like, no, that's pretty damn good. Filled with tons of action.
Well, in all honesty, sometimes when a movie goes on, like, way longer than you think it should, like, I'll be honest, Fast and the Furious 6, seeing, like, the trailer, Fast and the Furious 6, I'll be honest, it looks ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That title sounds so fucking ridiculous, but it was a pretty good movie. And by this point, like, okay, we figured out, because we kept on changing it, we figured out what we want to do and what works, what doesn't work. We've just narrowed it down to the things that work, and this is what we're going to use for this franchise from now on, that's smart of them. Where Lethal Weapon 4, I can't really say, I remember liking it, but...
It's been a while.
Last time I saw a movie, I was in middle school, and I'm borrowing the whole series from a friend right now, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, like, all those ones are good, though. Just watch all 4 of them. There's one of those ones that you can buy them for, like, under $10 a lot of times.
I know, the whole set, but yeah.
You know, I always see that. It's like one of those ones, like, I'm like, man, fucking $10 brand new for all 4 of them. Like, how can how can you beat that?
I know. It's just an all-around awesome movie.
It really is. And then, so something about, like, when I watch series, that's mostly I always gotta go, like, gotta watch them all just about, unless it's, like, one of those ones where there's, like, kind of, like, a really, like, okay one in there.
Mm-hmm.
But even sometimes the okay ones I still watch, too. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Sometimes you revisit it, like, you know, it's not as good as the others, but
It's
it
like
has
Die
its
Hard 2.
moments.
Most of I watch Die Hards, I'll watch all of them, and I'll still even watch Die Hard 2. It's like, it's not as good, but...
We can stop at Die Hard 5.
Yeah, or...
I might watch it one more time.
Yeah, Die Hard 5, I would watch it again, You know, but I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna change my opinion too much. Be like, well, it could have been an amazing movie.
When I first saw that one, I was kind of in denial for a little bit. Like, it was Die Hard, it was good. Then by the time we sat down, I was like, no, man, I thought it was kind of shitty. I'm like, but it was.
Yeah,
no, you're right. It was just like.
I guess this was one's like. You know,
I saw it by myself,
that
so I had
Die
no
Hard
one.
4 was pretty damn good.
Even for being a PG-13 movie, I mean, it wasn't the strongest, but
yeah, it was. It wasn't no Die Hard 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was still pretty damn good. So I guess like when Die Hard 5 came, I was like, oh, it's. And I guess it was one of the ones like I think what made it worse too is because there was The Last Stand came out. I was like, oh, this is fucking badass. And then Stallone's Bullet to the Head came out, and then it was like number 3 is gonna be even better than everything else. I was like, oh,
never mind.
The third one was definitely not the charm.
He's just kind of like skating by at this point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, there's that whole thing. I don't know. I think Bruce Willis is just having trouble giving a shit. I don't think he really wants to do these big action movies anymore. I think
he does something like Looper, and you're like, well, that's fucking good.
Yeah, but then again, that's not really your typical action film. That's more of like, you know, science fiction,
I guess,
crime.
But the way I look at it though is like, if you think about it, like Bruce Willis is just part of the movie. Is the action part of the movie.
That is the action.
Like really, like he's like the if you just cut out everything but just his story. I don't know how much sense that'd make, but that's just pure action, just about.
But I think it's one of those things because, well, his character was also conflicted because there's that whole part, and Ryan Johnson even said this in the audio commentary to that movie. He says like, there's the part when he's like, I'm gonna fix this. Like, yeah, he's gonna show this stupid little shit how it's done. And then you realize, oh, he's gonna go kill this kid, and he actually does it. That's where it's like, oh shit, and all of a sudden this has a lot more gravity to it, and it becomes a little bit more of like. It's not your typical action film because it goes from being kind of like there is that one part. There's a few parts.
Where
there's
he's
two
like
parts.
In the building, and he's just like blasting people away.
Yeah, like 2 minutes where he just walks to that building just with two machine guns, just killing everybody.
It's just like Bruce Willis is fuck.
Yeah, and then there's the whole part when he saves Joseph Gordon-Levitt from like when the first time around. Mm-hmm. And so there's that, but generally most of the time though, his character is just kind of like really because they advertise that whole movie like. Oh yeah, it's like
two guys at a coffee table.
Yeah, well they advertise it.
Same guy.
Yeah. When I first heard like Bruce Willis, Bruce Willis is Joseph Gordon-Levitt from the future, I was like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, what's this bullshit? Great movie though.
Yeah.
But then though, the thing about it though, is that they kind of left out the whole main story from the trailer, which I thought was awesome because movies never do that anymore.
No, yeah, this movie really kind of just it really is just like it's two guys at a coffee table. Guess what?
They're gonna
it's
kill
the same
each
guy.
Yeah.
One's old, one's young. How about that? Looper, come and see it.
This is with a soundtrack by Eddie Vedder. No, but
what was that trailer that had the Eddie Vedder song in it?
Oh, I think
that
it was
Looking
for Into the Furnace or Looking for
the Furnace.
Looking to the Furnace.
Christian Bale looks into the furnace.
Oh my god, I want to see that movie so fucking badly.
Christian Bale, Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson's a methed out like hillbilly like UFC fighter running like.
The other? There's more than just those
There's
guys.
not Zoe Deschanel, Zoe Zeldana. There was a
third big.
Forrest Whitaker.
There you go.
It's fine. It was the. Woody
Said
Harrelson. Yeah. Then there's Forrest Whitaker was the cop.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one looks fucking awesome.
That movie looks cool.
Because
I like it. It just looks kind of like dark and gritty. And then
out in the
woods. I kind of like when Christian Bale's kind of like methed or cracked out looking.
I don't think he's not. I think he's like a guy who like probably had that in his past, but now he's trying to do good.
Like, he's trying to do good now, but like he started out as that kind of guy.
Kind of like the good,
like, at least.
Good old boy, like dating the only black chick in town. You know what I mean? So it's one of those kind of things, which I want to see because as all those actors in that movie, I really like.
No,
I like
Woody Harrelson's always badass.
Like Forrest Whitaker. And Woody Harrelson is probably the main selling point for me of that movie because he's one of my favorite actors. Mm-hmm. But Zoe Saldana, she's pretty good. Forrest Whitaker's always good. Plus, just some kind of that town almost kind of looks sort of like our town to a sense.
Yeah,
it really does.
Like where exactly it was, but they're kind of similar.
Yeah, I mean they
a little more urban. But...
Well, it looks more like kind of like they're having like it's a. Woody Harrelson, who's like some methed out hillbilly, is like having like running illegal fights up at some like what looks like an abandoned mill or factory or something, and then Christian Bale's brother goes to it, doesn't come back, so Christian Bale goes.
No, Casey Affleck's in it.
Casey Affleck's in it.
That's who it was. That was the other person.
And Christian Bale goes looking for his brother, and then showdown between Christian Bale and Woody Harrelson. So yeah.
So fucking badass.
I can't wait for that movie.
You know, have you ever seen this one movie? This is another one I watched last week. Have you ever seen Catch and Release with Kevin Smith?
I have seen that, yeah.
That's a good movie. That was one of those ones I meant to see it like a long time ago, and then you just know how things go, and next thing you know, you just haven't. You know, you can almost forget about the movie.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Oh, wait a second, I should see that movie. I haven't seen it. You know, that was something I should have saw in theaters, and for some reason just never did.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good movie.
I liked it. It didn't really stick out to me a whole lot, but I liked it. I mean, the main thing that kind of caught my attention, of course, was Kevin Smith, because that's my personal idol right there.
And he's in a movie that's not really his, he's just acting, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, which he said, like, you know, I don't know if I do that too often. He says he'll do, like, a cameo, but he's not so sure about that, because he's like, I'm not really that good of an actor, which I think he's fine, but...
I think he's fine, too. I think he should do that more often.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Quentin Tarantino should do that more often, too. Like,
yeah.
I know some people always are kind of like anti-director actors, but...
Every so often, Quentin Tarantino, well, he could play certain characters. And you just say there's one. There's a horror film where he's the bad guy, and he's like...
This movie was called, like, Destiny Turns on the Radio. And I remember like...
Fuck kind of name is that?
Okay, like, I saw it, there was, in Modesto, there was, like, a video store that had I don't know if it's going out of business, but it had, like, all these things on, like... It was, like, 50 cents for, like, VHSs and, like, a couple bucks for DVDs. And this was, like, 3 or 4 years ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was just like pulling out movies, like, man, they got some fucking rare shit in here. You know, that was when I found Road Races before they even put it on DVD. It was like a VHS copy of it and all kinds of stuff. And that movie I saw, I was like, oh my god, somebody gave Quentin Tarantino a starring role in a movie? That's fucking badass. So I had to buy that one.
Mm-hmm.
And what that movie sort of was like, Quentin Tarantino was like some form of like spirit or god of some sort. And it was kind of like this rockabilly, like, feel to the movie. He's not the main character, actually. He's more like the... I don't know what you call it. There's
secondary?
A part where he is literally...
Is he the Obi-Wan Kenobi or something?
Yeah, he's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
He is literally coming out of like a pool and there's like electricity around him. He's like, and I want to say he's naked. He might be wearing something, but he's close to it. And he's kind of like, whoa! Like he's being like crucified coming out of this pool and there's like rain coming down, electricity and whatnot.
That's just...
weird.
I love Quentin Tarantino, but that right there is just like, I don't know. That's too much Tarantino that I need to see.
It reminds me, like, whoever made the movie was like, I want to make a Quentin Tarantino movie, but I really don't got too much of a budget. But I can afford
Tarantino
or
himself.
spend all my money on buying Quentin Tarantino to be in my movie. I'm not... Because it was one of those movies where nothing really happened. It was like they all sat around, like, this motel gas station thing out, like, you know, Route 66 somewhere. Just
that sounds like a Tarantino...
It sounds like a Quentin Tarantino
Or it sounds like...
It looks like a Quentin Tarantino...
It sounds like one of those like movies that like it's not Tarantino, but we are sure as shit trying to be.
Oh, that's
Tarantino.
what it was, but it had Tarantino in it.
It's kind of like, you know, you ever
probably made for TV because the special effects were pretty cheap.
They say fuck or anything.
Well, I mean, it could be made for like Showtime TV or something. Too,
okay, yeah. Did you ever see? I was curious. There's some people I liked in it, and I love the first one. But did you ever see From Dusk Till Dawn 2?
I did.
That is such a disappointment.
Well, you know what the biggest disappointment was in the credits they said that
Bruce Campbell
was in it, and it was like, oh, he's in it for less than 5 minutes.
He's on the movie they're watching within the movie for like the very beginning.
For some reason.
No, he's at the very beginning because it opens up with like two people getting into an elevator talking. I believe Bruce Campbell is one of those people that gets in the elevator, and they're all saying, "Oh yeah, well don't worry, this job will get to you." All of a sudden, bats start coming down and kill the people in the elevator, and then all of a sudden zooms out and the T-1000 is watching on TV or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Patrick. What's that guy's name?
Not Warburton. Patrick. It's on the DVD case behind you, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's okay though. We all know who we're talking about.
It was like $5, and I was like, oh, this is worth a chance. I'm like, oh no, it wasn't that good. And plus, he had Danny Trejo in there for a second, but.
It's one of those movies, like, you know, you see it and you're like, well, if Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez produced it, there's got to be some, like, dignity to it.
I think they just, like, chucked a wad of money behind him and just kind of walked out the door.
Yeah.
Do what the fuck you want with it. We're on the greener pastures.
And it's like, I never even saw the third one because I was like,
I didn't care to see either.
Sometimes those third ones can actually make up for it. You'll see the second one and be like, well, the second one's kind of okay. And then the third one, you're like, well, that's actually much better, but sometimes they get kind of forgotten.
Well, I remember...
This sounds weird, but, like, the urban legend movies, like, the first one's really cool. The second one's like, okay, but that third one almost comes back.
Really?
Yeah, it's got to be a straight-to-DVD movie, but it has some cool stuff in it.
I never seen it, but there's the Wrong Turn movies, and, like, apparently Henry Rollins is in the newest one.
Oh, I got a Wrong Turn story.
Oh, okay.
I was at the gym, I think, on last Saturday or whatever, and apparently, like, the Sci-Fi Channel was just left on TV, and, like, Wrong Turn 4 came on, and this lady's, like, on, like, the elliptical, and she's, like, going, and she's like, sir, could you change that station for me? It's got, like, fuck
She's an 80-year-old meth addict?
No, she's probably like 40 years old, meth addict. And she's on like the elliptical going all of like 2 miles per hour. And it's just like, one's like, well, you get the fuck up and change the channel. The remote's right fucking there.
Did you say that to her?
No, I just changed it. I was like, whatever, fuck it. It was a day where people were like, there's multiple people giving me attitude that day. I was like, who the fuck's giving me attitude?
Yeah. Were you wearing a blue Sonic the Hedgehog hoodie?
No, but I was probably wearing a blue shirt.
Maybe it's the blue. Maybe it's not the Sonic.
Maybe it's not Sonic.
Maybe it's not the Sonic. It's not the Sonic the Hedgehog hoodie. It's maybe the blue. But yeah.
But yeah, that was just a wrong turn for me. I was like, well, I'm like, it's like one, it's a fucking movie. Two, it's like it's on Sci-Fi Channel. How bad can it be?
Yeah. Well, here I actually got an actual sort of wrong turn story. Not like
one time I was taking a wrong turn.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was
Wrong Turn. Have you ever seen Wrong Turn 1 though? Really quickly.
I know of it. I know the whole.
If you had a VHS, I'd let you borrow because I only have a VHS, but it's fucking badass.
I have one probably somewhere. Yeah.
That's actually one of those horror movies that's really cool.
Isn't there a part like they're like?
I have no idea if 2, 3, and 4 is good, but
they're stashing eyeballs or something like that.
Yeah, there's like a house and it's got like a bunch of body parts like pickled or whatever inside there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Hills Have Eyes, but more in the woods rather than.
It's kind of like yeah, it's like Hills Have Eyes, but instead of having like kind of mutants, just like these like weird like hillbilly type people.
Oh, okay.
But it's cool.
I'll have to check
it's
that one.
Movies too, there's a line in it that this makes it stand out as being so 90s because one of the chicks in it goes like, she uses a phrase like that's so gay.
Really?
Yeah. No, it makes you laugh. I'm like that right.
That is so 90s.
Says like 1998 exactly.
Well, I remember like in 80s it was kind of weird because if you go back and watch some like certain John Hughes movies, like, and you'll hear characters like who are supposed to be likable characters use kind of like terms you would never really, you don't hear too frequently today. Like there's a part in like I think 16 Candles where, and she doesn't mean it like in a actual, she doesn't mean it the way that we might say today, but she says like to the red-haired kid, what's the actor's name?
Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall. The redhead says to him like, the other redhead says, "Are you a fucking faggot?" Says that to him. It's like, this is the likable character.
Yeah, Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, says that. So it's one of those things that...
You know what's like the best line, though, in The Dark Knight Returns that makes you laugh so hard, though, is where there's that black guy who's like, I love the Batman. He's a great guy. I think next he should go after the homos.
That's in the book, not the movie.
Well, yeah, no, it's not in the movie, it's in the book.
Just says about what time it came out, really. I don't think it was really glorifying that, but I remember that part.
Well, the guy's like, you're like, oh,
go for the
guy likes Batman, but then it's like, next it's like, oh, he's against gay guys. I'm like, I don't know. Everyone's almost kind of like, I don't know if I want this guy being my fan out there.
Being the unofficial spokesman for Batman. But no, I actually went down a month or two ago, some friends of mine were having a homecoming party. Not homecoming, but they just moved into their house. I don't know where homecoming came from.
Talking about like the Hatler area?
Hatler area? Yeah. Some friends of mine were moving into like this new house, and
tell the story once in the podcast. Oh.
I never told on the podcast. No.
Okay.
They're moving into their new house, which is kind of like out in these hills, which I really don't know the area. And I was looking on my phone with a little GPS thing, and it says Hatler Drive is up a little further this way, but then I see. There's like it's so weird. It almost looks like Hitler, but there's this white fence. There's this white fence with Hatler Drive with an arrow pointing up, like pointing down this dirt road. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this thing's been wrong before. Maybe it's this way. And let me keep in mind, it is a white fence that says
like leaned against like a mound of some sort.
Yeah, it says written in red paint Hatler Drive, and a tree's hanging over a few of the letters, so it looks like it says Hitler, but whatever.
Yeah.
But so like okay, so I go up this road. At first, like okay, there's a normal looking house. Go a little further. That house is a little different. Like oh, that's full on a trailer. Oh, these are some meth heads. There's like some full on like inbred hillbilly meth heads just gathering around a trash barrel that is on fire. And 4:00 in the afternoon in like fucking July.
You know, I've seen that same thing also in like other places too, like Modesto.
Yeah.
You take the wrong turn signs down there, and next thing you know, it's 4:00 in July, and there's a bunch of guys standing around a burn barrel in the middle of like a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, so I just kept on like, okay, maybe it's coming up. Then I come to what is so obviously a dead end, and just a pile of just like cars that aren't going nowhere, a washing machine or two, just like to show hoarders, like, no, we ain't doing that. We ain't going there, you know? This fucking methed out dude with like fucking wells on his face and just in his underwear and like a long basketball shirt just comes out, looks at me, looks like he's 85. He's probably 30, you know? I'm like, okay, I went the wrong way.
This is where you're kind of going to the point where like, Boy,
they
these guys
start
must have
walking.
got a
They
good
all
deal on this house up here.
they all start walking towards my car. I'm like, okay, it's time to go. And even though they see me, I'm backing up. They're still walking a little faster. Time to go, and I drive off.
Roll 'em up.
It was that. And plus, it had to fucking. I had to represent everything they hated. I was wearing a plaid shirt. I was in a white Subaru Outback. And I was looking into my phone for directions. I was a prime A
And I was
target.
drinking a coffee at the same time, too.
It was like fucking like Fallout and Mad Max had like a fucking baby with The Hills Have Eyes, generally. That's what happened. Then I went down there. I don't know if it's like they changed Hatler Road to this road at some point, or the other one. Like, no, we're keeping it. We don't give a shit what the fucking county says. This is Hatler. Yeah. That's when I get to like that party.
Apparently the Hatlers are people that have been in like Tuolumne County for hundreds of years.
Oh, I fucking believe it. Pretty sure there's a fucking like broken down carriage out there.
Probably.
This is my grandpappy's.
This is when we crossed the Sonora Pass back in the day.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's my wrong turn story. There's a few more. You could probably, if you think long enough, you can think of them. They happen.
I think everybody has a wrong turn moment.
Yeah.
Back like in high school days, I remember one time we were like lost.
Oh, I know where this is going. Go
I
ahead.
think in like Cedar Ridge area, I want to say.
A lot of trees, folks. Just say that. A lot of trees.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of trees up there, and it's a really fucking retarded neighborhood that is so far away from kind of like a town in a sense, yet it's this big, huge like suburb in like the wilderness area. But it's one of those kind of ones. If you want to live out in the woods, why the fuck would you move that far away just to be literally? I mean, you were 20 feet away from your neighbors. You're not really in the woods.
Is this the fabled town that has or suburb, whatever? Is this the fabled suburb that has a cross in the middle of it?
No, that's in Ponderosa Hills.
I hear about that. I've never seen
It's
that.
on the top of it. I should show you. It's pretty cool. We drove up there before.
People tell them, I mean, you would hear like these horror stories, like you go out, there'd be like this little like kind of like communion, these bunch of little houses with this cross in the middle. Nobody would ever come out, but there's just urban legends like this. You'd see like a little 8-year-old kid come out, stand in the middle of the place, and just go back in one of the houses.
See, I've never. It's one of those ones. That sounds just like something that's been made up.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I just
but
remember
yeah.
driving up there and there's just a cross that's about all of like 5 stories tall.
You're like, I'm getting a little hot. I should probably go the other direction.
But okay, back to the Cedar Ridge one. I remember one time we pulled down this one driveway. We just needed to turn around. It was just like we gotta figure it out, you know. And this is before all GPSs and all that kind of crap too. So this is when you have to rely off your smarts.
And not that you can get reception up there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a shitty neighborhood. I just don't understand why people want to go that far out just to literally be the same. I mean, you could fucking live in Sonora, be the exact same thing. Like, why would you live that far out? It's not like you're living by yourself. Like, you know, if you're out like in that kind of like Italian bar, Jupiter. Let's just talk about shit that people.
Oh, Jupiter! We could go all day night on Jupiter.
There's actually some really nice places out in that area. But back to the thing. I remember we pulled up in this one driveway. It's like, okay, we just need to use this driveway to turn around. And this guy, like, the light turns on, and this he like rips like off the curtains. Remember, he sticks his head outside. And he's just like all like crusty and like his hair sticking up in all different directions, just kind of giving like that. What the fuck you doing on this road?
And then
you know what? Actually,
there was a sign though. Wasn't
there was a sign actually. I forgot that. This is actually the main part of the story. That said, trespassers will be composted.
Yeah, that's.
And don't ask me why. That was the only road we could pull in to turn around.
Our friend Grant one time, because he used to live out, because there are some back roads like that in Columbia. And one time we were going to, because he was living on some like, I don't remember. It was like literally kind of like a video game. It was either, okay, this road leads to Happy Sunshine Land where Grant lives. Nice little apartment complex. People are nice, you know.
Yeah.
This road leads to Redneck Rape You in the Assville.
Yeah.
And they look fucking identical. I couldn't remember if it was left or right. So like, all right, let's see if it's this one. So we're driving a little bit, and as we're going, is the microphone off on this side or something?
Yep.
Oh, this whole time people have just been like, who the fuck is Spencer talking to?
Oh, well. Hopefully I'm fine, but that's probably that problem we had that one time.
Okay.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do a little pause here. I forgot we were doing voices for the animation. Okay, continue on with your story.
Okay, so no longer paused?
No longer paused.
All right, cool. So we were, so we started driving down this very narrow, very, very narrow road. And we reached the sign, and it says, trespassers will be shot. and it had like will heavily bolded and underlined. Make a point. And as soon as we stopped right there, a light went on in the house from a distance. It's like, oh, here's some incentive not to go any further. And it was really hard to back out. So I had to like almost Austin Powers reverse my way into there.
In and out, yeah.
Yeah. So, exactly. So.
It just happens sometimes.
Some people are just so fucking like paranoid out in these woods. I mean, granted, they probably have like a meth lab or like fucking pot farms or whatever.
Yeah, well, I feel if you are paranoid, it's because you are hiding something.
Yeah, exactly.
No normal person just paranoid for no reason. I don't know. Well, speaking of fun stuff, I finally beat Killer is Dead.
How'd
It
that
took
go?
me a ton of time, but it's like the average length of the game. But no, that game's actually pretty cool all the way through. And for once, I will say, of all the Suda 51 games, that one actually has a little bit more replay value, I guess, than some of the other ones. Because a lot of the other ones, it's more like, you beat the game? Cool. You could play it again. There's an extra hard mode. Feel like it.
I mean, we didn't really think you'd get this far, but yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Buy next one, yeah. And sometimes like those ones, like, replay is a really big thing in the game. Like, if you can at least get some form of good replay, that's really what makes your game like worth a lot of money. Because the average game, I always say, is on average, most video games are around 10 hours, give or take. Whether it be 8 hours to beat or 15 hours. In general, 90% of them are, unless it's like a Fallout or a Final Fantasy or something. So this one's, it took me, I think, like 9 hours or something to beat. But it does actually kind of give you some kind of, almost like how Devil May Cry 3, I guess you could say, or the other Devil May Cry in general. Like, you can go back and you can just keep upgrading yourself and so on and whatnot. It's like, well, at least that's something. But no, the game was pretty cool. There was a boss in it. There was actually an evil version of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Really?
Yeah, you remember that, like, show?
Yeah, the blue engine with the...
yeah.
Oh,
the face on it.
Not the tank engine, but Thomas the...
What's it called, Thomas the Tank Engine?
I don't think he was Thomas... Because he's not a tank. He was just... Wasn't he just a normal, like...
Well, he's a steam tank.
Steam tank. Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah.
That's why I thought he was called Thomas the Tank Engine.
Maybe he was.
Can't imagine I forgot this by this point in time in life. But yeah, there's literally one. His name was like Thomas. And they just kind of made it like that. It was just like this evil kind of train you had to be on and like kill.
That sounds like that, dude.
But it's pretty cool.
Makes little nods. He makes a lot of random nods to like different pop culture.
Well, the cool thing about that's why I like about Suda 51 is like and he almost does that thing too. Where like he sometimes will break the fourth wall, I guess, in the video game world too. Or like he'll kind of explain it as if it's a video game. And what I mean, like also when I say like he's kind of like a Quentin Tarantino thing, is he takes stuff in video games that people find kind of dumb, but then he finds a way to make it kind of bring it back and say this is kind of cool. And he can take just weird shit like that and just kind of
mentioning the thing about kind of like breaking the fourth wall. I mean, sometimes that works, sometimes it
you gotta
doesn't.
be iffy about it, because like Woody Allen sometimes does that, not nearly always as cool.
Well, in the terms of video games, for instance, like here's this is like a way different game, and it's probably the weakest of the series. But Star Wars Rogue Leader or Rogue Squadron, like number 3 or whichever one it is. The one we could actually play and run around on ground, which was kind of a dumb thing for that franchise, but you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that one's that didn't really bother. For some reason, that bothered a lot of people. Cause to me, it was like there's like 3 missions you get to run around in. They're not that long. They're fun for what they are. It's not, I didn't feel like it distracted too much from it.
It didn't kill it for me. It didn't feel like a very solid game. It was like I could be doing other things right now, but it was just one of those.
It felt like it's like you probably could just put in like 2 more flying missions and kind of stick to what you know best.
Yeah, exactly. But it didn't really kill the game for me or anything. But there's one where you were doing like the training on Dagobah, and like Yoda was training you, just like use the Force, press the B button to lift that, something like that. So they would have little things like that in there.
Oh yeah, no. That happens in a lot of video games though, where they like explain. And now that's
the fact it was Yoda. The fact it was Yoda.
Like, where in this game, it literally like turns and like kind of almost does that thing. It doesn't like physically turn and look at you and be like, hey. But it does more.
That's as far as I got. I'm just. Hey,
it's more like
Okay,
like,
cool. I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
Where like the last boss is talking and stuff, and the main character just kind of stops and goes, "Well, you know what? I think that like the viewers at home don't want to listen to this. They just want to get straight to the action because it's an action game."
Oh, okay.
And it does kind of things like that where it's just like
I think given the type of story, like if they did that Metal Gear Solid, that'd be a little off. But
you gotta have good enough like creative writing. And with Suda 51 games, he always does kind of have that. It's really... You almost buy the game for the fucking writing. It sounds weird.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
It's like, don't get me wrong, the gameplay is actually really fun, too, because it's pretty much a modern day, like, I guess an easy way to kind of sum it up, it's kind of like a Devil May Cry. without more like the jumping and all that stuff generally in it, because none of his games, I don't think any of his games you can jump. But yeah, it's kind of like, it's just like that hack and slash. You kind of go kill, get combos, get points.
And
then you get to a sweet boss, and then there's mostly a lot of like dialogue in between stuff, and it has like those Metal Gear Solid bosses where like you got to kind of like
each one kind of stands out.
Yeah, they stand out like a lot.
Is it the game has a lot of humor on itself, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, most of his games usually do. I remember.
No, like all of them have. All of them pretty much have humor, and I can't think of them.
Oh, okay.
Most of them always got like dick jokes in them and stuff like that too, just to back
Isn't there like because your gun in Shadows of the Damned was like a skeleton, and it would get big. It was like Boner of Death or something. He would like hold the gun. Right by
there's
his
a
crotch.
gun called the Big Boner.
The Big Boner, yeah.
And you'd like put it at your crotch and fire it off like a cannon.
Oh, okay.
Like these like giant things that would come down the street.
That's probably like a shout out to Robert Rodriguez for like the crotch gun that was in like
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, and referenced in Desperado.
But the only thing though is that there's this character in Killer's Dead that's fucking annoying though, and apparently it's some like cosplay like woman that's apparently very popular or whatever who does like the voice for this character, and it's literally like picture Ed from Cowboy Bebop if Ed was extremely fucking annoying.
Okay.
Like extremely annoying. Like it
says weird things like that. Like Ed,
it just says shit that doesn't make any sense. Like as far as like the language goes. Mm-hmm. And stuff, and like the only reason she's fucking there in the game is because apparently she cooks the best like soft-boiled eggs, and that's why this man brings her into his house just to like fucking cook for him.
Well, that's kind of a funny reason. Like,
it's kind of
weird,
funny,
like...
but just like it's like the shit she says is just like so fucking dumb. It's just like, and the way she says it, I guess, makes it stupider. That makes any sense. It's like she tries to do that thing like she takes almost like all the bad anime acting and throws it all into one.
Yeah, I can see.
And it's just.
Well, I think sometimes a lot of times bad anime acting, I think it comes more of like, I'm not trying to sound condescending to people who like the original dialogue. I think sometimes taking like straight Japanese and trying to make it sound like, trying to make it almost kind of like just straight Japanese and put it into English, it sometimes sounds a little rough and doesn't always sound as natural. So that's what I think about a lot of
I guess just what he's going, he was wanted, sometimes I feel like he just wants things to be dumb. Like the guy who plays the main character, his name's Mondo, the guy who does the voice of that, I think that guy's another really famous like guy who's done a lot of anime voices too. Like all those like kind of like the deep older brother voices of a lot of characters. I think that's who it is. I couldn't really pinpoint anything, but it's like I know I've heard it. I'm not too sure if I can just pinpoint who it is though. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that girl though, it's just like it just reminds me of like if Ed grew up, smoked a lot of crack, and then got really fucking retarded. It's so dumb. But other than that, that's like not like you see her a whole lot, but just like when she's just there, just like.
Is this game for the 360 or Wii?
It's for the 360.
Okay.
He stopped making Wii games after
I forgot about that. Here's the thing: I'm just out of the loop when it comes to a lot of games right now because, I mean, not that I don't dislike video games. Mm-hmm. That I'll go into GameStop and I'll look at the wall of games like, I want to buy this. I don't know if I want to spend $30 for it, and I just put it back. Not even
$60. It's the $30 it gets you sometimes.
I was thinking 3DS games at the moment, but still. Yeah. But yeah, there are certain things.
It's one of those, for me. It's like there's always a couple games though. No matter what, I kind of want to get. You know, like this is one of them. Anytime that Suda 51 makes a game, I kind of want to get it. Even if I maybe don't get day one, I kind of want to get it. If a main Zelda game comes out, I feel like I gotta get it. Like I want to get that new 3DS Zelda one that comes out in 2 months or so.
Is that going to be is that the sequel to like
Link to the Past?
That's what that one is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And then there's like the other game I'll probably get is the Batman Arkham Origins one.
That's one I definitely want to get right away.
There's that one, and then I'm just probably going to get the 3DS one the same day too.
Well, I kind of came to a sad realization when it comes to video games a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm done with the character altogether, and all his games altogether, but I'm kind of like done just going out buying Sonic games, I think, for a while.
Until you kind of like...
Well, because for what happened for a while, here I'm going to do a little comparison between Sonic and Mario. I think Mario has kind of done the thing like, all right, yeah, sure, it's kid-friendly, but we keep enough here to keep the original fan base is still going. I mean, I'll be honest, the retroness is starting to like get a little wear and tear on me, and I would like to see something a little new and different for Mario. Mm-hmm. But the new Mario game coming for the Wii U looks really good. Yeah. The one where you're playing as all 4 characters. That's more the same, but it looks really good. Yeah. And as long as you can make it good enough and have enough of that retro feel to it, awesome. But Sonic, it has this weird unbalance to it. It's like they try to like get a little. It's like they try to get a little bit of the retroness, but then they bring in like some like really kiddish aspect to it that you don't really want.
Well, Sonic games, like for the last like almost 10 years, you probably more than that, probably you almost say close to 15 years, have done the thing where it's like they'll do something really good and something really bad all at the same time.
Exactly. Like for instance, well,
I don't know. I mean, I know
Sonic,
we've mentioned this multiple times about Sonic and its problems.
It's been a good like probably 40 podcasts. We can rehash it.
We've mentioned it before.
Oh yeah, I know, but I mean like
not full focused one.
Oh yeah, I know, but well, I think the thing with it is just kind of like they reach this point where it's what was I gonna say? They kind of reach this point where what they're doing is they want to keep the original fan bases for it to a certain extent, but they're not kind of doing enough for that. I mean, I have no like delusion. Sonic the Hedgehog is a kid's game. I understand that, but as long as the game is fun. There you go. But now it's just like almost they're trying to sell it off because the new one coming out, it just looks kind of like
it's trying to be sort of like a Mario Galaxy in a sense. That's how it looks, like how it plays.
And then but it has kind of like a retro kind of vibe to it, given the like the look of the level and all that. It might be a good game. Who knows?
You know, it's probably might be fun as long as they don't find a way to really like
the thing.
The villains kind of look weird in it.
The villains look really stupid. And here's the thing that kind of made me go, "You guys are just doing the same stupid shit you were doing before," and that's they're bringing the Wisp back.
Oh, really?
Those are the aliens from Sonic Colors.
From Colors,
and I was like, why? Why the fuck are you bringing those things back? Why? I'm done. I'm done.
That's one of those ones like, yeah, there comes a point where it's just like you almost gotta let the Sonic game come out and make the decision later if you want to get it or not.
Yeah, I mean, because Generations was one of the first ones. Okay, yeah, we are reaching for our older fan bases, and we got some newer levels for the newer fan bases, which I get. You know, I'm not trying to condemn them for that, but it's one of those things. I think I'm just kind of done with it now, and it's just because I remember, like, I let one of my nephews borrow, like, Sonic Colors. I was just watching the intro to that game, like, why the fuck do I own this? You know, it's such a kiddish kind of, like, looking game.
Yeah, it's just like those ones, like, you think about it, like, this is the game I chose over the latest Gears of War and BioShock and Assassin's Creed.
I'm just like...
and you're just kind of like, Sega, why did you let me down?
Well, it's like, it's kind of like that, I mean, it's kind of like that point, like, I'm letting nostalgia overtake, like... kind of common sense when it comes to a good game, really.
Yeah, well, sometimes it just gets to that point where, like, you know...
Sonic 4, like, there's a game I'd gladly get. Sonic the Hedgehog
Sonic 4
4
Episode 2, that is like the thing that's, like... To me, like, when I look at that game, like, that's what they should have been doing 15 years ago, almost. That's, like, really what people wanted.
Or make just a longer version of Sonic Generations, really. That's
Sonic
fine,
Generations.
too.
I guess the only thing about Sonic Generations, I mean, you know, what's cool is that it's not like a sequel. It's like the one problem that a lot of times these games have, and it's the thing that Mario kind of has, too. It's like, okay, you're sort of just rehashing old stuff. Mm-hmm. Why don't we kind of, like, use those old stuff, but let's make a new story out of it, you know?
Well, the other problem that franchise has is they keep on, for a while, like, okay, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, you can see some similarities, but they are very different. But ever since that, they haven't really been continual. They've been kind of like, well, this didn't work last time, so let's try a new thing. And instead of taking what works for one game and bringing that into the next one, they just keep on starting from scratch to a certain extent. I mean, Sonic Colors said, okay, let's take out the fucking werehog bullshit, but let's add in all this silly and wacky, kind of like colorful characters and all this stuff. I mean, I'm saying wacky, colorful characters in a Sonic game. That says a lot when it's just like, you know, the fucking aliens and cutesy, like Candyland and all that bullshit.
Well, it's just, with anything, there's always, like, a line that, like, you know, you can have it be, like, you know, this wacky and this kind of colorful and almost kid-friendly. But if you go even farther over that line, that's where you almost kind of lose. It's like, well, now you've lost your sort of adult audience. You know?
And that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just kind of like, you know, if they come out with a good game, then maybe I'll check it out. But I'm at the point where the old ones will always be there.
Yeah, it's one thing is the older you get, sometimes you kind of realize you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just stick with the old things. You know, I don't need your new generation bullcrap.
Exactly.
Like sometimes I get like that too at some point too. It's just like, you know what, I could just stick with Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and just never go any farther in the future. I will just go into my man cave and live there for the rest of my life and hang out with Dr. Hugo Strange and his penis.
That's a reference for upcoming Drunk Batman episode.
Yeah.
But is there any? What I mean by that, I mean, as far as Sonic games go, all the old good ones are always there. I'm still looking forward to new upcoming games. I'm not one of those people who's, because I understand nostalgia brings up a lot of, it's kind of like what takes up a lot of common sense to a certain degree. That's kind of because nostalgia was made me play these games this whole time. They're like, oh, the next Sonic game's gonna be good. Next one's gonna be good. And like, oh no, fucked me in the ass again. You know.
Yeah, it'll just get you sometimes.
Yeah. Is there any franchise to you that kind of
petered out?
Yeah.
if I had to think of a franchise, I think that just kind of
I
slightly.
know we're on the same page on Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic was one's like it's like I guess I came to it a little bit earlier than you did, where I'm just like, I'll just wait for the game to come out and make my decision afterwards.
Or I'll just wait till Ryan gets it.
yeah, I'll just go to his house and play it. You know, one that I'm afraid to buy when it first comes out, though, is Street Fighter nowadays. I'm really afraid to buy anything that's a fighting game from Capcom. I will get it eventually, but I just don't feel like it's worth my time to go out and buy their games brand new anymore.
Or
day one.
Well, it's not so much the game is bad, they're just dicks because they keep on, like, they'll give you a half-assed version, and then they come like, here's the new and improved version 6 months later.
And it's not like the Mortal Kombat where it's like, kind of like, we have this version, the one's got everything on it. But you can still download that stuff to your original version. You don't have to go out and buy both of them now.
And you spent like $90 for
it. Wasn't that expensive.
I thought like $75 for that special edition.
Yeah, something like that for that. And yeah, that was one of those ones, like, strange enough, Street Fighter 4, I look at that as one of the worst purchases of video games I've ever bought. Mm-hmm. Street Fighter.
Yeah.
One of the worst purchases I ever bought was that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones, the game's fine, but I feel like I bought $20 worth of a game and spent $60 on kind of like crap that I didn't really feel like I got as much use out of.
And plus, it came with that like half-assed anime movie, and it came with a figurine. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this?
Yeah, it wasn't like a cool figurine.
Yeah,
the coolest thing it came with was the Ryu headband.
It was like, well, plus
and
it was
the
like,
soundtrack was actually kind of cool, but that's not, to me, that's like bonus shit. That's not. I don't.
The figurine it came with, it was like
Sea Viper.
It's like, who gives a fuck about Crimson Viper?
Yeah,
you want Ryu or you want Kin? Shit, you want T-Hawk before you
yeah.
get
Give me a
Crimson Viper.
Yeah, I want that figure. I don't want that. As well as Street Fighter 4, as far as a game goes, yes, it is a really cool game, but I just thought that Street Fighter 4, that first launch of it, they kind of like half-assed, I think, all their fans.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
You know, don't get me wrong, it's a fun game, and it's kind of like, and it's got all the Street Fighter stuff you want, but they just, I don't know.
For a while, GameStop, they're trying to like, kind of like, they'd almost try and sell you ridiculous. They kind of back off a little bit. They still are a little annoying, but they come up like, hey, you want to get the new Halo Reach pack? I'm like, no, I'm good. Well, this is a $400 Halo pack, comes with a bust of like Master Chief, the statue, a graphic novel, and dude, I don't fucking want it, you know?
Well, I was looking at the Batman Origins, like, I was like, I was on Amazon, I'm like, I'll just see what they come with in like the special edition pack. Might as well, I got fucking time,
Yeah.
I'm on the internet. And it was like, I want to say it's either $120 or $140, and I was like, well, what does it come with? Let's just see. And it comes with this kind of like Joker, like busting out of like I think Arkham like statue thingy, and really it's just a bunch of like fucking like cards and like booklets and stuff that's like you really kind of look at like this fucking shit should be free. Like, why would I pay extra for all this stuff? You know what I mean?
Like a figurine or a statue.
A figure,
if you want it,
I can understand like that, but still, it's like maybe to me it looked like maybe you can charge $80, but don't charge this ridiculous amount.
I know there's one that was like you buy it came with a batarang or something. I think that was the last one.
I think that was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones, to me, it's just one of those ones. That stuff's kind of cool, but I think that what they do is they give there's some people out there, it's like, well, I guess I gotta just get the special edition one. There might be something there that I'm missing that the regular one's not gonna have. I'm not a regular person. I'm special edition.
Well, it'll come with like some little like mini comic that took place before the game, or like a 15-minute making of the game or some bullshit. Which it's like you're gonna watch it when you first get it. You're never gonna watch it again.
Well, it's like the Resident Evil 5 one, remember, that came with like a making of disc, and it was kind of cool because you generally never really got that with video games, like a making of kind of thing.
The Metal Gear Solid one, Metal Gear Solid 3 one you got was really good.
Oh, where it has that you know what? And that didn't cost any extra though. That was just one price. They didn't charge me anything else. And I got Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, and it came with like that the Metal Gear Solid Volume 1. They kind of had like all kind of special features on it, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. You know, and Subsistence was badass because it came with like 1 and 2, like the PC versions of it. Mm-hmm. It had a bunch of new modes and stuff. And yeah, I mean, now that one's kind of a second version. I guess it's technically not like the first Metal Gear Solid 3. Mm-hmm. But that was a badass one. That was like, I want to say it was $20 or $30 for that whole thing. Mm-hmm. I always go back to this one, but Castlevania, Portrait of Ruin for DS. This is the perfect example of how to do it. It was $30, and you got all the stuff you pre-ordered it. Mm-hmm. And what they gave you is they gave you like a poster that had a big fat timeline on it of all the Castlevania games. Gave you a big art book. They had a bunch of the game stuff in it. A music CD, a stylus, a case, maybe something else. But yeah, like and that was all free.
If you're a big fan of the franchise, that's a bunch of awesome shit right there.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of times it's.
But then again, that's the kind of thing.
They give you it's the ones that give you a half.
Ask me to pay like $20 extra for that, I'd probably say no.
Exactly.
$10, I probably would pay for it because that music CD actually is pretty cool, and some of the other stuff. But really, it's like no, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that point. I am kind of before it was like I gotta have the most awesome edition. Now I'm like, oh, I'm very bare bones.
The cool thing about The Killer is Dead though is like that one, and I didn't even pre-order it. I just went and bought it. That one came for like $60. It came with a special edition. Came with like an 80-page art book. It came with a music CD. I think that's about it. But I was like, that's cool though because it was all free.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, it came with the package, so like that's badass.
Yeah, there you go.
And my Shadows of the Dam came with a music CD too, I think.
As long as it's not that much more, for just.
Well, no, and that didn't cost anything extra.
Yeah.
Now, when I bought one of the last ones, I remember like it was Lords of Shadow, Castlevania came out, and I was like, okay, it's Castlevania. I'll get the special edition, whatever. It's only $20 more. Mm-hmm. That one became worth it though, because I remember I got like a T-shirt with it, music CD, and then like an art book. And the art books to me aren't like the most. It's like, well, you look through it like once, you're like, that's kind of cool.
And that's about as much. That's what I got about.
To me, like, it was like a Castlevania T-shirt that was fucking worth it.
Back when it went back, it only happened to me once, but I got peer pressured by a GameStop employee to pre-order Assassin's Creed, and this is kind of the main thing.
Did you get the special edition of that one?
It was just that was the first Assassin's Creed, and there was no real special edition. It was like, and this is the thing that kind of stopped me from like pre-ordering most games, because what happened was the guy first off it was like when they were being very aggressive, and I just should have had the balls to say fuck off, don't want it. But the guy got, and it looked like
they get you in a corner, and you just...
They get me in a corner. Oh, whatever, man. So you're just like, all right, fine, I'll buy the fucking thing. Never happened again. But then I call in, I go in there one day, and I'm like, you know what, man, can I just get my $5 back, because I'm not going to have a lot of money I'm not going to have a whole lot of money by the time this thing comes out. Like, he gets the scared look on his face. I go,
fuck you, man, I am getting that bonus.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, I
am one away from Tommy at getting the bonus here at GameStop. You take that away, Tommy is ahead of me. Fuck you, kid. Fuck you.
Even though
you're already probably old, same age as this guy. He's up like on a pedestal pointing down at you to make himself look taller.
He's like, please second, let me push the pre-order button. He's like, clicks a little like clicks a
fall
little switch.
Through, like the floor, like whoa!
No, or his chair just slowly rises up. Like, okay, now I can tell people to pre-order shit because I'm above them.
Because I'm above them now.
Yeah. No, but then he says you could just pay. You could just pay it when you get it. We'll hold it on to it for you. All right. I'm just like, all right, whatever. I just still said, and I was a little bit softer back then. I should have said, no, fuck you, pay me back. But no. Anyway. So when I finally go in, I get the game like a week later than what I pre-ordered it for. Mm-hmm. Same fucking guy. Go there. I'm like, yeah, here it is. They're like, okay, you do know this came out like a month ago or a week ago, right? I'm like, yeah. I was just like, all right, well,
fucking faggot.
Why are you ordering it? Why are you getting it now when it came out a week ago? Just like, we had this fucking conversation.
This game is not even cool anymore. It's a week old.
Yeah, and they gave me this stupid little art booklet. I'm like, fuck these assholes. I'm done with fucking GameStop now. I mean, I'll still wander my way in there and just look around.
I really hate going to GameStop, though. It's like, a lot of times I'll just order my stuff offline. I would rather just order off GameStop online if that was the case.
It's like one of those things. It's kind of like, before I'm like, what's the bigger evil, Walmart or GameStop? Now I'm like, you know what? They broke even.
You know what? I look at Walmart. They don't fucking hassle me there.
They don't judge you.
No, they don't judge me. They don't hassle me.
They're Satan's dick, but they don't judge you. You know?
At least they're nice about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But speaking of people in mobs and forcing you to do shit you don't want to do, we went and saw The Family today with Robert Deniro, which is fucking badass.
Beautifully ham-fisted segue.
I know. I thought it'd work well. And it's a Luc Besson one. The guy's pretty much done a lot of French movies. Produced like almost every French movie in the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. But he directed Fifth Element, La Femme Nikita. He did Leon the Professional. And then he wrote a bunch of other movies too, as in Transporter. He did From Paris with Love. Mm-hmm. District B13. Bunch of other crap. He had a long list of shit on his IMDb page.
Yeah, he had a lot of. He's a lot of times you look up because that was a name I saw for a while, but just a name that I would see, but nothing would ever come to mind. Then I just finally like you said, finally looked up on IMDb. Like Jesus Christ,
he did. Guy,
yeah. Like I like Fifth Element. I think that's a good movie.
I love that movie. That's a great
Fifth Element's good. La Femme Nikita, that's pretty
a good.
One.
And then he wrote a bunch of sweet movies. Like I Love From Paris with Love.
The Transporter films.
Transporter 1's really good.
Transporter 1's good.
You know, he did the. Taken. He wrote that one.
He just wrote it, right?
Yeah, he just wrote he's more of a writer than he is anything else, and producer. Yeah. He just having to direct a handful of movies. Mm-hmm. This one being one of them now.
Yeah, and
this one's fucking awesome. It was just, and it's a really simple story. Like, really, the trailer describes exactly what this movie is. It's just like former mob family is under witness protection, so they're sent to France, and they've been traveling around all other kinds of places. Mm-hmm. And there's mobsters out there that want to kill pretty much Robert De Niro and his family.
Yeah.
That's really, it's like that trailer. This is one of the few times a trailer like describes it. And you're like, that's it. I know what I'm seeing, but that's perfect.
It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't come.
No, it doesn't lie to you. That was a perfect trailer. I don't feel like I went to the movie and went, what the fuck is this? Or it turned out to be something way different. Or, it was just all around good.
Something I want to say about this movie, though. This isn't this movie. This is all movies. I want them to stop putting dogs in movies. Because whenever I see a dog, and I know there's going to be gunfire in a movie, I get scared for that dog. And I have trouble enjoying the movie. Granted, the dog lives, which I'm very happy
And he gets to attack somebody.
Well,
no, I know those. Okay, when it shows, like, there's a scene at the end of the movie where a guy fires a rocket launcher into Robert De Niro's house, and Robert De Niro and his dog are in there, and they blow out forward or whatever. And Robert De Niro escapes somehow. They show the dog, and the dog's under a bunch of concrete. And those guys come up and they're like, well, it's like, I don't want to kill a dog, man. I'm not that fucking mean.
Yeah.
They're like, kill the dog or I kill you. How the fuck does the dog get out of the concrete to attack him?
I think the guy fell down next to the dog.
Yeah, but then the dog, the next scene, like, the dog was out of the concrete after, like, the dog tried to save him. I was confused there, kind of.
Movie magic.
I know.
It's one of those things. I think every once in a while, it's at the very end of the movies where it's like, last 10 minutes, like, we're at the last 10 minutes, just fucking take it.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of movies do that now, but I thought that the guy...
Whatever, it's Robert De Niro's dog.
He trained that dog. Dog really wasn't under concrete. It had mob ninja training, But no, something I thought was cool about the movie is, like, well, first off, it's just like, okay, it's about Robert De Niro and his family. And when they show the kids, you're like, okay, these kids might slow down the movie. Ironically, kids are actually some of the funniest parts of the movie, I thought.
Well, at the beginning of that movie, though, the one thing kind of... I got kind of scared for a second, because the kids
First impression.
They're kind of like, fuck dad, like, we're just moving around and shit and stuff. And then there was another scene that came up later where, like, the kids were going up to school for the first time in France, at Normandy. Mm-hmm. And Robert De Niro's like, I love you. And they just don't say anything. They just kind of walk off like, yeah, whatever, fucking dad. They don't say that, but they just kind of had like that. And Robert De Niro's just kind of standing there like, why don't they say I love you? And at first I was like, oh, please don't help these kids become douchey. And then after that, you don't see any of that anymore. Then they're just very nice kids to their father.
Yeah.
Their mother.
It was just kind of like one weird kind of like first impression. But
yeah.
After that,
and then after that, they were totally fine. They became really badass. And
Well, I kind of like the thing about the daughter because there's like one or two parts like someone tries to rape her more or less, or someone tries to rape her like once or something, or try and flirt like seduce her or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Because she ends up going like some guys and trying to give her a ride home. So
4 of like the ugliest Frenchmen you've ever seen.
Yeah, and they're high school kids, and they end up going to this park. It's way out of the way, and they throw down a towel and they start like drinking beer. One of them just blatantly, just like overtly, just to a creeper level, flirting with her, and like he like just slips her like bra strap off, kind of while
He's like, whoops.
Yeah. Then she just smiles and he grabs a tennis racket, just beats the ever living fuck out of the guy
In front of the other friends.
They're all scared, and she steals his car and just drives off. There's a part where like, that one chick over there, she stole like my purse earlier today. You see her in the bathroom just like punching
the shit out of her.
punching this chick's face into the ground. So, and I'll be honest, this isn't really, I'm not complaining so much. The movie, it wasn't really super, it's like, I would call it a dark action comedy. I'd call it that. But it's not really super funny the whole way through. It's more of kind of like you chuckle here and there, and that's fine. But the thing is, the story itself is good, and the characters themselves are likable. And the funny parts, they actually are pretty funny.
It's almost like there's not tons of comedy, but when there is, it's really funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, not this funny, but it's kind of like In Bruges in a sense. Because that movie...
It's actually a lot like In Bruges without more of like the dramatic, sad stuff of that movie.
I mean, this movie had some dramatic moments, but it's not as heavy as In Bruges, nor is it as funny.
Killed a kid!
It didn't have that. I shot a little fucking boy! It doesn't have that, no. But, it's not as dramatic. It's not as funny as In Bruges, but In Bruges is one of my favorite movies of all time. But this movie right here, though, it's kind of the same thing, though. When it's funny, it's really funny. Because it would be every so often, Robert De Niro would have to take some shit from somebody, and in his mind, you'll see what he wants to do to them. He'll, like, set them on fire, or slam their face into, like, a barbecue grill, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, because I had that cool thing, like, whenever I think of those scenes, I always think of True Lies. That part where, like, Arnold's driving with the car salesman guy, and the guy's talking about his wife and stuff. It just pictures him just like beating his face, and then it goes back to them just driving.
Yeah, it has a lot of moments like this, like that. But there's that one moment where he actually does do it. Yeah, which is hilarious because the thing in the movie that's kind of interesting is it's not really super important, but everybody kind of has. I mean, the kid, it's kind of important. Comes full circle later, but they all have their own story going on, which is they're just kind of trying to get by and trying to fit into this new life they have in Normandy. Mm-hmm. And there's a part where generally most of Robert De Niro's story is he's trying to, because they have brown water, something's wrong with their water filter. So he's going from person to person in town to talk to.
Really, when you explain it out, like, it just sounds like such a strange story plot. Like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Well, the water in his house isn't very good, so he's just going around town trying to figure out how to fix
Luckily, there's more things than that, but that's just kind of like...
It's actually very interesting, though.
Because what happens is Michelle Pfeiffer, she's just trying to be kind of like make friends in town and just kind of be a good house mom and all that. The kids have their school life. And Robert De Niro... he's writing his memoirs.
He's just trying to, like, just
and
find things to pass the time.
Yeah, and that's really what the movie is, and then slowly things lead to the mob finding them where they're at. And we learn about their past and as the movie goes on, and then Tommy Lee Jones, which is an FBI guy.
He's like the witness protection guy.
Witness protection guy who's, covering him. So, but then, like, when he finally gets to the last guy, and he's just some douche who's like, he has a chemical plant. Says, look, your chemical plant's kind of mess with my water. It's like, buy bottled water. I don't care. Next thing, you just see, like,
he fucking drags him across the ground, like, tied to a rope behind the car.
Yeah.
And then he just chucks his motorcycle out, so it just looked like he got in a horrible motorcycle accident. Yeah. Oh, it was so badass.
He pulls out a knife. He's just like, you tell me, I'll fucking kill you, you fucking pussy.
I'll cut your fucking balls off.
Yeah. The dog goes everywhere.
It's just sitting there like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought was really weird in the movie, though, is when was that movie supposed to take place? Because there's all the technology in the movie was all, like, not, like, super old, but it was all, like, at least 10 plus years old. Like, the chick was listening to, like, a portable CD player. The guy's camera was a film camera, like an old SLR one. They were using reel-to-reel tape recorders to listen to the phone calls. The cell phones were kind of older looking in it.
Maybe it just took place later.
Robert De Niro was typing on a typewriter. Like, there's
I think the typewriter was just kind of like retroness.
I think that was, but, like, if you notice, like, there wasn't a single thing that said, like, and I think that's almost like maybe Luke Besson was going for something like, he's like, I don't want this movie to feel like 2013.
Maybe it took place in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah. It looks like it could have taken place in about, like, 2000 or something.
Yeah. I thought maybe
1995 too, even. Well, not the CD player, but
it's one of those things. Sometimes they'll show someone like playing like a mixtape in a movie. It's kind of like, nostalgia or retroness. Mm-hmm. Now I guess retroness is a CD player. So
the thing about this one too is that, like, it was I would just, after like the first couple ones I noticed, I was like, okay, I'm just looking for every single, like, gadget that's in it, and every single thing was old. There was not anything more. Even the TV itself,
that
was an older TV. This doesn't really count much, but when they were showing the movie towards the end, it's the kind of like whatever you call it, the film debate.
And they're watching Goodfellas.
Yeah, they're watching Goodfellas, which is badass. But that was like an old film camera too, or projector. I mean, so there was just a lot of things in there. There was nothing modern technology wise whatsoever.
I guess it was just probably like early 2000s, late 90s, probably then.
Yeah, well, for a second I was like, wait a second, is this a true story then? Like, are they trying to get it very accurate or whatnot?
Well, something I thought was actually kind of... I just want to say this. I guess this is one gripe I have about the movie, which it's not enough to kill it for me, but one part that just seemed kind of stupid to me is there's a part where the girl, her main... The daughter, let me put it this way. The daughter's main story is she's going after this good-looking French dude who's a math wizard, and he's going off to...
because women generally go after math wizards.
Yeah, generally. Well, I like that she wasn't like... she wasn't going after the stereotypical jock. Yeah. I thought that was cool. And they made her intelligent. She wasn't dumb. But this one part I thought was pretty dumb. And after he generally breaks her heart, she's about to commit suicide, which... Right there,
you're like, she's so smart, but
it's like, and how tough she is throughout the whole movie. This is the one thing that, I mean, what they do is they do it in a way because she's about to commit suicide and she's on top of this building, but then she sees the cars of the hitman coming down the road. So I guess like, we need a reason for her to be on top of this building. Suicide, you know.
Why else do people go on top of buildings?
Yeah, so that I thought that was kind of fucking stupid. But beyond that, I mean, I really can't find a whole lot to complain about.
I really couldn't complain about anything else in it too. But yeah, I do. When I did see that, I was like, that seems kind of strange for that character. That character seems so strong, and that's like the weakest thing a character could do is try to commit suicide.
And then the son actually was kind of, because he wasn't like a brute strength guy, but he was smart.
Just smart.
He's like a racketeer almost, kind of, because he was like plotting everything. Because like there were some kids just beat the shit out of him. So then he kind of makes all these connections, like, okay, this guy, he has sound equipment for this dude's party, which he's actually...
he needs from the nerdy guy who likes trading cards.
Yeah, so he puts it all together. So he gets all these people to be on his side, and then he ends up going up and, like, after he does a favor for all these guys, they all help him, and they kick the shit out of all the guys that kicked his ass at the very beginning of the movie.
I know, that was cool. I like that.
He had like a purple baton. He just beating the shit out of the main bully with.
You know, was one thing I thought was kind of cool in this movie, though? I liked how, like, all the characters, just including, like, the main characters, I guess you could say, but all the people around them, they all looked like real people. They didn't look like, you know... Because, you know, generally when you see a regular Hollywood movie and they show high school,
pretty.
Everybody's, like, 23 and, like, as pretty as possible. Like, where in this one, like, you know, people were fat, they were pimply, you know, they were, like... strange looking. I just like they look more like real people. It sort of made actually there's almost so much of it though that almost made like, boy, France has a lot of ugly fuckers in it.
Well, there's some good looking people, but they were just, if they were good looking, they're realistic good looking. They weren't that typical Hollywood good looking. Even I think the girl, the daughter, I thought she was beautiful, but she doesn't have that whole kind of like Hollywood kind of like fakeness to her. She actually looks like
just like a regular good looking person.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I just just all the regular people. I just kind of liked how you see it, because you mostly never see that in movies, like just regular people that are really just not that good looking.
I want to say this real quick. I want to see if they ever make a live action Droopy Dog movie. They need to get Tommy Lee Jones. Doesn't he look just like
he started to look like Droopy Dog?
His whole face just sags down. It almost looks like a melted candle by this point.
And I feel like he could almost do the voice too if he really tried.
He's like, I mean, he's not nasally.
He still have like the Tommy Lee Jones voice. But...
He has the lingering kind of just throw a black nose on him and give him like long black ears, and I think that would work fine. Like, oh, there's Droopy Dog.
You know, I was like, it's funny for being a French movie too. It really makes the French kind of look like a bunch of assholes in like the movie though, because every single person it's just like.
I think they're how peaceless to Americans.
Yeah, I guess that's
what any. Sorry, go ahead.
I say, well, that's kind of like how a lot of like French movies sort of are. They're always kind of like, how can we sell this to Americans? But it's really a French movie. But because like when Michelle Pfeiffer goes to like the grocery store, those people are all assholes. All the kids in school generally are assholes. You know, even some of the people just like on like the town, not as much, but you know. Not saying everybody is, but just funny. So it's like, okay, it's a French movie, but it almost looks like somebody else looking towards France.
Yeah, it's one of those things right there, which it didn't really.
Or I don't know if it's one of those ones more like that, like people in France are like, no, those guys aren't assholes. The Americans are the assholes in the movie. What are you talking about?
Like
it's just your perspective.
There's an alternate cut where like the family dies at the end in the French.
And you see like the life of like the plumber guy that gets killed, like his wife at home.
He didn't get killed. He got the shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah, he didn't get killed. That's right. But he goes home. His wife's like, he beat me in English accent. So he's like, I can't. My
husband beat me. I know, you know, French people gotta hate that. They gotta hate the thing.
Yeah. But well, whatever. So it's just like the life from all these other characters. Like the guy who, even though he works, he's like, I work at a water treatment plant or whatever. My life is literally shit. And what makes it worse, this guy dragged me behind his car for God knows how long, busted up my motorcycle, and I can't say a thing.
The French version, he's like, well, Mr. Robert De Niro, just let me explain to you how it works. Just very kindly does it in our American cut.
Robert's like, America. Just starts breaking shit in his office.
Yeah. Well, no, I think what they probably do is, not all French movies, but I think a lot of French movies, they stop and say, well, if we're going to sell it to Americans, how can we sell it to Americans?
Well, the one thing I always give credit for France's movies is that they do the smart thing where they don't make the movie in French. They just say, let's just make it in English because you can sell it to a lot more countries that way.
At the same time, I think for a long time I was seeing French movies and not realizing I was watching a French movie because it was in English and they had a few American stars in it, you know? So this is one of those cases. I've kind of, as the movie was going on, I was kind of piecing together, this is probably a French-made production. As we said the credits, like, yep, I just saw the names. Yeah. So then I looked up Luke Benson. Oh, definitely. So I'm curious to know if Fifth Element is a French production.
It probably is.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of those movies too, that's what they do. Is they get a couple main characters that are American, and then most of the thing you can always point out, it's like they're in France, and everybody else but the main characters or whatever is all French.
It's kind of like Clint Eastwood. And
they're like the Sergio Leone movies and stuff like that. And that's perfect. That's another example. Like Italy does the same thing too. Is they're pretty smart about it too. It's like, let's make our movies in English so we can sell them to more countries. Because how many people speak Italian in the entire world?
Yeah.
I mean, I know French. Like more people speak that. One movie it's like that girl with the dragon tattoo series. Why they made that in Swedish, I can never figure out. Because how many fucking people can you sell a movie to that speaks Swedish?
I want to say this real quick. There's this website. I don't remember what it's called, but generally whenever the Oscars are coming out, they have just like they sum up the movie in a poster.
No, I'm talking about like the Swedish version.
I know that, but this is gonna come around to that. It says so like it was getting down. So for instance, be like I know these are 2 different years. Say Toy Story 3. It says You Will Cry.
Yeah. You
get down to Black Swan. Lesbian sex scene. Just says that. Shows the same poster. Gets down to like into whatchamacallit. I think King's Speech. Insert Oscar here.
Yeah.
Then you get to like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It said all the rape, none of the subtitles. Like that's pretty true.
Because it's one of those ones like I think about that like okay if you have a big enough country you get enough people that can understand your language that's fine but I mean like really, I mean, like, outside of Sweden, how many people speak Swedish?
All the Swedish, I don't think we have any Swedish listeners, but they gotta hear that just like, America, what's the fucking point? We can't fucking hear it, so why are you fucking doing it?
And to me, Sweden's the homeland, and I'm not saying anything against it, I'm just saying, when it comes down to making a movie, the whole point of making a movie is you're supposed to be making it for, like, the largest audience possible, almost.
I think it varies. I mean, it depends. I mean, I guess to largest audience possible, I guess
again, sometimes some of those movies can be made, and they're like, well, who else is going to go see this but Swedish people? And then next thing you know, it becomes really popular. Like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I never saw...
How about that?
I never saw the original. Not that I have a problem with reading or anything. I just never saw the original. But I got the other one off Redbox, and it was alright, but,
That's kind of how the original one is. It's okay. I was, like, expecting a lot more.
I really like that character, Elizabeth. I really like that character a lot. It's just...
To me, the only thing about the Girl Dragon Tattoo, it just felt like it was a regular Law and Order episode... They just happened to have a gothic character in. That was the only real different thing in it.
Well, I love that character. I think that character is really cool and has some really cool moments, but overall, the movie just kind of...
It's strange enough that character is actually not technically the main character. It sort of is, but it's like, the story kind of follows all the other characters more.
Kind of follows the guy. I guess the Daniel Craig character.
Yeah, Daniel Craig in the modern one. Modern as in like 2 years later, but
Yeah. But no, anyway, I want to say one thing that kind of threw me off was, I mean, it didn't throw me off. I still liked it because it's one of my favorite bands. But the guy liked Gorillaz, I noticed.
Oh, yeah, and The Family?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool, though. It was like, he had a couple Gorillaz songs in there.
He used, like, Clint Eastwood, then he used it's on Plastic Beach.
Yeah, I don't know what that one is, but that's a cool song.
It's one of the later tracks on Plastic Beach. And it was one of those things that was kind of like, it's a movie like this, which is going to attract, I'm not complaining because I like these movies, it's going to attract a lot of older people. Because, like,
when we went there, I don't think there was
Sea of Grey.
I think we were the only people that were at least under 50 years old.
Yeah.
I might even push that number up higher, but everybody was old there. It was literally the Sea of Grey.
So that's when they're...
Sea of Grey,
Sea of Grey. So that's when they were playing, because what happens is, they played a little bit of Clint Eastwood in the trailer. They just mainly played the guitar riff and the the harmonica, yeah. And then when she get to the part, but eventually they play the song in the movie. And what happens is the kid is about to leave town. The boy is about to leave. The boy, not Robin. This boy over here, though. Robert Deniro's boy. He's about to leave town, and then as he's getting on the train, he sees like some hitman. They don't notice him, but he knows them. Mm-hmm. And they're all walking off in slow motion. It looks cool. And they start playing Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz. Mm-hmm. And by the part, Del, the funky Homo sapien, comes in. I'm like, are they going to do it? Because if it happens, all these old people are going to start pulling their hair like, no! I was just like, is it going to happen? They just cut off to the next, like, right when it gets to where he sings in, where he comes in, they'll send it get back to, I ain't happening. It's like, oh.
It loops
it. It loops it. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, I kind of like the rap verse, but whatever.
It's like whatever.
It's probably for older audiences.
It's probably more than anything else. It's like the beat that the guy really likes out of that song for that section.
I don't know. I just kind of love that song so much. It was like, oh, here's the next part. Oh, it's not there. I bet it's more also just like it's a mob movie, so the rap might throw it off.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of people out there that really don't like the rap things in movies, like or older people I've talked to. It's like I fucking hate when they have rap in movies.
I've heard some older people say, I really like that Django Unchained movie. But
that was the same one. I ran to an old person too. It said the same thing too. He's like, that fucking rap in that movie.
It's like, that's the thing that killed. Okay, whatever. I mean, it's like, I guess I'm a Quentin Tarantino fan, so I know to expect that already.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. I guess it really can kill it for some people.
Some old people though, just like, we fought for this back in like.
I was in the Civil War, and there was no rap.
We made sure they didn't rap. We posted guards out there to keep them from rapping.
And there was no David Bowie back in 1944, back when we tried to kill Hitler.
What we said in the Civil War was that, like, it's like Freddy Krueger. If you make them forget the rap, they won't do it. But then again, in the 80s, it came back.
They remembered Freddy Krueger.
And they brought rap back. Sir, how old are you? I'm 175.
Fuck.
And I feel
Oh, he just died.
I just pooed a little. Somebody clean this up, because I fucking ain't. But no, The Family, though, I liked it a lot. I think it's badass. I think good action, good comedy, good story, good scenery.
I was surprised how violent it got, and I'm not complaining. I mean, it wasn't, like, overtly violent, but more violent than you think a movie like this would be. Because a lot of times, in a movie like this, like, okay, it's mainly rated R just for the language and maybe some of the sex jokes, because they want to get some of the older people in there. But this did not shy away from the violence. It opens up with an assassination of a family who they mistaken as Robert De Niro's family.
Just has to be Robert Downey Jr.
in his house.
You got the wrong Robert.
It wasn't even like, because it looks like kind of like the same. They have a daughter with blonde hair, a son around the same age.
Close enough.
And what happens is like the dad goes to answer the door. It explodes. He flies back. His skin's all charred and kind of bloody and all that. And they walk in, just shoot everybody in the house. So.
The one thing the upside of movies nowadays, though, is the fact, though, that, like, you're almost guaranteed good violence. It just seems just about every movie nowadays, it's like, they mostly don't shy away from that anymore like they used to. Because, in the 80s and 90s, it was, like, half-half. Some movies were good with it, and some movies just cut away too much.
Yeah.
And now it just seems like, you never get a movie where it's just like, okay, it was rated R, why'd they cut away?
Yeah.
Maybe it was Die Hard 5.
They cut away a little bit. Like there's probably the guys with a chop a hand off or something like that. They cut away.
Yeah, I mean they do stuff cut away. But I mean,
it wasn't
like,
overtly.
what I'm saying is like the time, in some movies where they cut away from almost everything. For example, is if you watch horror movies from the 50s. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those ones can be some of the most boring movies ever because like, oh, the monster's going to get it. It's like, oh, fade to black. Let's go back to the beach party now.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, that's it? That's what's scary about the movie?
Yeah, a guy in a rubber suit like going after a chick.
Yeah, but we don't even see what he does. I mean, for all we know, they're having a tea party now.
Sometimes they'll come back to like a body that has like what's probably like chocolate syrup sprayed on her.
Yeah, sometimes
it's a black and white movie.
But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, though, Family really good. I like it.
Good flick.
So yeah. So stop on by oldmanorange.com. Check out all the videos, podcasts, and fun on there. Till then.
And also Marley just posted a new episode of his podcast,
The
Cinephiles. Yeah,
so check out Cinephiles.
Just look up Silverdome Productions on YouTube. I think there's places to download.
Or if you're on Podomatic, it's linked on our accounts.
Yeah.
So yeah. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We will see you some other time.